Take Me Through It is made possible by people like you. Thank you for downloading, listening, and subscribing. And leave us a comment on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you.
What a couple of weeks this has been. So many big stories. From Charlottesville to Dhaka to North Korea. Hurricane Harvey, Hurricane Irma, Hurricane Jose. And in Connecticut, where I have recently taken on a project at a television news department, you've got the state budget crisis, Hartford teetering on the bridge of bankruptcy. A serial killer pleads guilty, a local sailor killed on the USS McCain. The cycle of big stories seems to be getting tighter and tighter. The big story breaks, we go into round-the-clock team coverage, and then the next story hits, and the big story is forgotten in a matter of hours. So I need a break. I need a break, so I'm going to go back in time to the 1950s for no particular reason other than I've been thinking about an heroic episode when a Boston lawyer stopped a demagogue in his tracks, and it was all on live national television back when TV was relatively new and the entire country was watching one thing. So sit back, forget about your troubles for just a bit, and let's take a trip back in time in this edition of Take Me Through It. I take you back to 1954, during the height of the anti-communist hysteria being exploited by Wisconsin U.S. Senator Joseph McCarthy.
I think we've got a much more serious situation now in communist infiltration of the CIA. I've discussed this matter with the members of the committee. I've also discussed with the members of the committee the question of communist infiltration of atomic and hydrogen bomb plants.
McCarthy was a minor player on the political scene until he appointed himself America's anti-communist crusader, one who would root out the Red Menace from every corner of the homeland. Fear of communism was real, and McCarthy knew it. He grabbed the spotlight and embarked on a national campaign of innuendo, accusation, and character assassination. In June of 1954, the country was riveted by the live television and radio coverage of McCarthy's Senate hearings, which were aimed at exposing communists in the American military and U.S. defense industries. But on one afternoon, McCarthy was stopped in his tracks by one man, Attorney Joseph Welch. Welch was chief counsel for the U.S. Army and was testifying before McCarthy's committee. Welch was sick of unsubstantiated claims of communists in the defense industry, so he demanded that McCarthy aide Roy Cohn provide a list of names of suspected communists before the sun went down. McCarthy struck back, not responding to Welch's demand, but instead by revealing the name of a young attorney in Welch's Boston law firm, Hale and Dorr. Out of the blue, with a sense of desperation, McCarthy accused the young lawyer, Fred Fisher, of being a communist.
I think we should tell him that he has in his law firm a young man named Fisher, whom he recommended incidentally to do the work in this committee, who has been for a number of years a member of an organization which was named, years and years ago, as the legal bulwark of the Communist Party.
Now, Fisher had nothing to do with the Senate hearings. He was just a lad, as Welch would call him, a young man just starting his career. But remember, in the 1950s, your career in life could be ruined merely by being accused of communist leanings. And this accusation came on national television for all the country to see.
Now, I have hesitated bringing that up, but I have been rather bored with your phony request to Mr. Cohen here that he personally get every communist out of government before sundown. Therefore, we will give you the information about the young man in your own organization. Whether you knew that he was a member of that communist organization or not, I don't know. I assume you did not, Mr. Welch, because I get the impression that while you are quite an actor, you play for a laugh. I don't think you have any conception of the danger of the Communist Party. I don't think you yourself would ever knowingly aid the Communist cause. I think you are unknowingly aiding it when you try to burlesque this hearing in which we are attempting to bring out the facts, however.
Welch had had enough. With calm and eloquence, he used words to take down a tyrant.
Until this moment, Senator, I think I never really gauged your cruelty or your recklessness. Little did I dream you could be so reckless and so cruel as to do an injury to that lad. It is true he is still with Hale and Dorr. It is true that he will continue to be with Hale and Dorr. It is, I regret to say, equally true that I fear he shall always bear a scar needlessly inflicted by you. If it were in my power to forgive you for your reckless cruelty, I would do so. I like to think I'm a gentleman, but your forgiveness will have to come from someone other than me. Let us not assassinate this lad further, Senator. You've done enough. Have you no sense of decency, sir? At long last, have you left no sense of decency? Mr. McCarthy, I will not discuss this further with you. You have sat within 6 feet of me and could have asked me about Fred Fisher. You have seen fit to bring it out, and if there is a God in heaven, it will do neither you nor your cause any good. I will not discuss it further. I will not ask Mr. Cohen any more witnesses. You, Mr. Chairman, may, if you will, call the next witness.
That applause was from people in the hearing room. One man, a lawyer from Boston, had stopped McCarthy in his tracks by simply questioning his sense of decency. McCarthy would be censured by the Senate, and his reign of terror came to an end. Another voice that united the country against McCarthyism came from CBS newsman Edward R. Murrow. Murrow ended his famous See It Now episode on McCarthy with an exquisitely written, forcefully delivered monologue. And listen carefully to what Murrow says about fear, exploitation, and our responsibilities as Americans, and see if these words might apply today.
Earlier, the senator asked, "Upon what meat does this our Caesar feed?" Had he looked 3 lines earlier in Shakespeare's Caesar, he would have found this line, which is not altogether inappropriate. "The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves." This is no time for men who oppose Senator McCarthy's methods to keep silent, or for those who approve. We can deny our heritage and our history, but we cannot escape responsibility for the result. There is no way for a citizen of a republic to abdicate his responsibilities. As a nation, we have come into our full inheritance at a tender age. We proclaim ourselves, as indeed we are, the defenders of freedom wherever it continues to exist in the world. But we cannot defend freedom abroad by deserting it at home. The actions of the junior senator from Wisconsin have caused alarm and dismay amongst our allies abroad and given considerable comfort to our enemies. And whose fault is that? Not really his. He didn't create this situation of fear. He merely exploited it, and rather successfully. Cassius was right. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves. Good night, and good luck.
Throughout our history, we have battled, not embraced, tyrants, Nazis, and racists. And with all of our faults, we did stop slavery in the 19th century and the Holocaust in the 20th. Our sense of decency prevailed, although the cost was and remains very high. And now many Americans look for another pivot point. Perhaps it will come from one person like Joseph Welch, or a respected national figure like Edward R. Murrow, or maybe it will be a collective effort, where each of us does her or his part to remind our leaders and ourselves about what this country really stands for. America, have we left no sense of decency? I'm B.J. Fennell. Join me next time for Take Me Through It, a production of Fennell Communications, LLC.
Fennell.